control of the d file of the rook, pressure on the queen side, a superior knight and bishop, still control of d4, while black now has these terrible weaknesses. So all in all, I thought I've done pretty well here so far. Knight c7, now rook d8. We have a pawn exchange now, exchange of prisoners, this one for this one. This one's a bit weak, but this is a centre pawn, which means this will be a pass pawn if I eliminate it. And the next implication of that, which I think logically goes with this, is this pass pawn going to be involved in a passed pawn race? And if it's going to be involved in a passed pawn race, do I start thinking about optimizing, its path to the queening square? That's not something I would have considered last night, but now I'm thinking, as you approach the endgame, these pawn races become more prevalent, so this need for pass pawn optimization becomes more prevalent as well sometimes. So bishop b5, okay, I play knight d6, we exchange the prisoners, so the a6 pawn for the e5 pawn. But, my rook and knight, I think, are superior at this point, so I think I've outplayed my slightly higher rated opponent, 203 ECF, who I've lost to twice before. And I'm optimistic, quite frankly. And not only that, my optimism is increased now because I win an entire night with a forcing continuation I'd calculated here. An entire night. Okay, I'm going to lose b2, and losing b2 makes this pawn a runner, but it also means that potentially c3 is going to be weaker because it's no longer protected by b2, which means potentially these pawns are being dangerous, which means pass pawns means race. Again, so we have this pawn versus these three guys. We have a pass pawn race, which means optimization is going to become critical at some point soon for how to promote this pass pawn in particular, because this pawn is not a particularly good candidate. It's restrained, so this pawn is the pass pawn candidate here. Okay, aside from that, let's win a piece. Knight g4 check, forcing the king on the second rank, winning a piece. I thought, end of game. Surely I can win this position. Surely I can't mess it up. I can! Chess is such a beautiful game. You can mess up any position because the opponents, which you seek stronger and stronger opponents, become more and more resourceful, so they're more and more like Houdini. So you get more and more regret after when you lose from apparently winning positions because you didn't play as accurately as needed. And what makes that worse is probably lots of pre-move and blitz chess, which makes you complacent not to look at the tiny little details of the position which make or break any pawn races or optimizations of any good ideas which you happen to notice. But anyway, aside from that, rook takes b2 check. Okay, he's winning a pawn with check. I have to move my king. So far so good. We're now at move 51. So, the story so far. I had a bit of an opening, nothing much. Strange idea with knight g5, which wasn't punished. Grovelly sort of end game, which I seem to have completely outplayed him to reach this pass pawn scenario, a piece up, just winning a piece. Fine. Now a5. Okay, the pass pawns rear their intentions. There's a race on. How do I stop a5? Well, I push e5. So, candidate versus candidate. Blockader? How to get rid of the blockader? That's the question. There's no blockader here. The king's not over here. Maybe that would have been handy, rather than being trapped on this side of the board with this rook cutting it off, and also f4 being restrained by g takes. So there's a bit of a problem with my king as well, not being able to help on the queen side. So a4, now rook a7. Now he plays rook b3, offering the trade of prisoners again, a trade of weaknesses, and Nimzovich would say. And I'm offering on now here is a critical, decision. Do I allow him to carry on with this pawn to a3 and play the move c4? So we have c4, a3. Do I allow this position? The perk of it would be, okay, the king's cut off at the moment. The downside, my pawn, my king can't easily get back. And as soon as that happens, there's rook b2 and a2. So I thought this would be fairly tied down. And I was checking this Rybka, and Rybka actually prefers my continuation, which is just to snap off that darn a pawn. So I snap it off. I give him the two connected pass pawns. Now we really have a dangerous time bomb here. Okay, these two connected passed pawns. Every step they make from now on, they're going to get more and more dangerous. So, losing one or two moves as they come down the board like Space Invaders isn't a good idea. This is a good time to optimise the race between this pawn and these two. So, what do? Well, I think, hang on, he's not going to let me play rook a6. And here, I don't know if this is like pre-move mentality. I thought, hold on, what, and I'm also getting to like to 6 minutes. I'm thinking, well, this is a good idea, surely. We're going to knock the blockader back, play e6, and then knight e5. That's going to be the end of the game, surely, because then maybe a check somewhere, and then, you know, surely I'm going to queen this pawn with the help of this knight. You know, I'm a knight up. You know, of course I'm going to queen the pawn. You know, these pawns are quite far away at the moment. So I play rook a8. And here, after b5, in pre-move mentality, I think, I'm not thinking about optimization. But what do I want to do? I want to get this pawn queened as quickly as possible. Not faff around with piece moves while these pawns are coming down simply step by step to the queening squares. Okay. So there's a tiny little detail of the last move. You know, the secret address, Maurice Ashley. There's a tiny little detail here that I don't need to play rook h8. On the other hand, I'm wondering now, and I'm not sure what happened last night, but it might not have just been that. Maybe I did think that b4, maybe there was a rook a3. So maybe, you know, the checking over here might be a better idea. Fine. So I wasted an entire tempo now. Instead of rook a6 to drive the king back. So here, it just looks, if I'd found in this position knight h6, this is definitely starting to be all over. We'll put the engine on here, and I want to demonstrate this. So knight h6 threatens to gain yet another tempo on the white king. I think this is the most accurate move. Knight h6 is like a key move here. I think other moves maybe not so hot. e6, well, that's hot as well, actually. No, other moves are hot. The key thing is to play rook a6, but knight h6 is the most incisive. So let's imagine b4, check, king moves back, and here, apparently the most incisive move. We can't play like Ribka, but this will do anyway. Forget rook h6. This will do. So say b3, there'll be mate. Say rook a3, rook b6, just to threaten mate. And now the pawn is seeing the light of day. The pawn is going to queen. Check. How many times have I lost pawn races this year? I think there was a game against Dave Ledger early in the year where I also mucked up with a dangerous pass centre pawn. So that would have been glory, opportunity, glorious, just to play rook a6 check, optimise the strategy. The strategy being to promote the passed pawn, because it's critical. It's absolutely critical. Every single move is critical. Otherwise, this pawn is actually, funny enough, going to lose this race against these two pawns. So I play rook h8 like a dummy, and I think I mutter myself that I'm a complete idiot. You know, after realising I just missed rook a6. Fine, it's only one tempo. Overnight I thought I'd actually fluffed out two doing that manoeuvre, but actually I think it's only one. It's delaying this check to kick the blockader back. Now b4, okay, I'm still winning this position. Rook h6, king e7, fine, I can gain a tempo now based on this rook on c3. I've noticed a little detail. Let's stick the engine on again. I think Ribka might even like my next move here, at move 57. Knight f6 came up as one of the moves. One of the strongest moves. Well, for a few seconds. So knight f6. What is the strongest move here? Rook c6, and then if b3, then knight f6. So maybe that's keeping an eye on the c pawn. Okay. So anyway, I play knight f6 here. He plays rook d3, so he's sidestepped my little idea of knight d5, check, picking up the rook, so he can't move b3 at the moment. Fine. I still think, you know, I'm better, and I play the only move, well, the best move, not the only move, which gives white an advantage. Still plus 3.68 to white, and I still managed to lose position. But that's just a theoretical engine evaluation with perfect play. 3.68! How can this pawn lose the pawn race to these two pawns? We're about to find out. He plays c4. Okay. Now the critical move here is not what I played. I've got to get a good move on with this passed pawn. The way to do that is apparently check. Just the check. So if king e6, that also, you know, sets a trap again. There's another horrible knight fork. And this will be winning. The king can't herd the pawns here because of check. And in this position, just e6 and my pawn's queening, and I'm holding this pawn. So this pawn can't come to the rescue that quickly. Okay. So in other words, that is a major threat. Now, if check, which wasn't played, so we're saying, okay, in this position, knight e4, c4, we're saying check. So king e6, we're ruling that out because of knight c5. So say the king goes here. Okay. Now here, white's still clearly winning, plus 8.86, with at least 2 moves. I dread to think how many more moves are actually it's over 9 now. With e6. Okay, so there's a threat now of knight f6 and e7. Pretty fast stuff. So say black tries to defend. Check. Now if king f8, there's rook f7 mate. And if king d8, check. And here, I'm picking up the rook tactically. I suppose it's all boiling down to specific tactics, that this rook's actually vulnerable. Because king c7 or king e7, there's knight d5 check. And I don't think these passed pawns are going to save the day for black. So say c3, just rook b8, the knight's on that one, the rook's on that one, about to munch that. But no, I play a total howler, which makes the position absolutely critical. A non-optimal, completely non-optimal in a race situation move. Because I think I can safely grab this pawn and come back to e4. I have this illusion. I'm down to about 6 minutes though, to be fair. It's not FIDE time control. It's a bit of a lottery then. If you are faced with connected passed pawns, you've got to play accurately sometimes. So I played knight takes g5, and my evaluation has now gone down to knight 0.45 if I'm lucky. Okay. He plays c3, the pawns are marching on. And I was actually banking on this. I thought this would still be winning anyway. I played check because I thought I'd be herding my pawn forcibly, cutting out king e6. So there's the point, actually. I think this is why I'd favoured knight takes g5 to cut off e6. But there was no point in not allowing king e6 because of that knight fork, as was demonstrated. So I'd wasted time on knight g5. Okay, and now, unfortunately, this whole e6 and knight e4 is not as effective as before. He can sack a whole rook, and his passed pawns are absolutely getting critical. c2, he's threatening now to queen. Knight e4, now he plays rook e3. I even thought at this point, at move 63, this would be winning. With knight f6 and e7, I actually thought this was winning. But rook e3, in this particular position, it doesn't matter, of course, if I win the rook with this mechanism now. These pawns are queening. So say, check, and there was a horrible continuation, which I think I did try and win the rook, and the queen, he played here, and I just, I think I even played rook h7 just to land queen e3. I resigned. What a disaster. So 1 or 2 non-optimal moves.